I think we are live, Rene,
I think
as
so.
usual. Hello, how are you doing today? I see that you're in your office
I'm in the back
doing
office.
some brainstorming in the background.
Yes, I've got I have whiteboards everywhere. I have whiteboards here and then on that other wall, and I have whiteboards in my bedroom, which is something that's a little bit odd. But I just never know when creativity will strike, and so I'm very visual. I need to connect things sometimes, and so I have whiteboards everywhere. Whiteboards, markers, erasers. I've also become a big fan of Siri and taking notes for me when I'm driving. I get a lot of ideas when I'm driving because I'm generally not talking to anyone, and
Uh-huh.
I because I
And
drive
how
a
do
lot.
you how do you take notes? You mean like you just dictate to
I talk.
Siri or?
Yeah. I just talk to Siri, and she's gotten much better about understanding me. So she's accurate.
that's that's so interesting. That's so interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
How
so
are you?
I had a crazy week, especially the weekend last
Mhm.
weekend. In Poland we have this special big charity event
Mhm.
once a year. It's typically in January, and it's been going on for over 30 years now.
Wow.
And this charity event, it covers the entire country. Plus, they try to get anybody of a Polish origin or Polish descendant, living outside of Poland. And what is happening, there are a lot of things going on that day. So it's like a lot of concerts. Oh, Kenya is here. Hello, Kenya. Good morning. How are you doing today? Hello, Kenya.
Good morning. Always good to see you.
So,
Uh
so,
huh.
so there's a lot of there are a lot of. Oh, and Alan is here. Oh, Alan, I
Hola,
haven't spoken to
Alan.
you.
In a long time.
It's great to see you guys. I need to
Yeah.
check how many people are watching us. But anyway, so there's this event, and there are a lot of kind of different concerts and auctions, and there's a lot of stuff going on, generally speaking, on that day.
Mhm.
And the backdrop for this is basically people walking around with the little boxes and then collecting the donation. And every year there is a different theme.
Okay.
The whole thing started 30 years ago because Polish healthcare system was not really good, was really poor, and there was no. I mean, we were just getting out of the communist regime, so
Mhm.
there was not so much of the healthcare available. So they started to collect money to purchase equipment that was needed, and it went to. I think they collect like I don't know, maybe 60-70 million dollars at that particular day.
Wow.
Nowadays they started with like $1 million, and now
Mhm.
that's $60 million in this kind of a day. And I always try to participate. I've always been, like the give back to the community guy. And we've done a couple of things. First of all, two of my three daughters registered to do the collections, so they had the
Ah,
little boxes, and we were running around Warsaw. Malgosia was one of my daughters, and I was with the other one, and we were just running around. It's extremely nice when people offer you this smile and this positivity, when you go to
mhm.
them, and you see people that don't have much money, but they
Mhm.
still pull a couple of zlotys, and they just put it in the box. Other people make bigger donations, and
Mhm.
there's the whole auction process. So during this auction process, we won number one
Yeah.
racing the racing number the racing
Yeah.
number one. And because I did it more than once, I've done it like 10 years in a row every
Mhm.
year. So they gave me number 2, 3, 4, and 5 for my wife and my my
Oh,
daughter.
and the girls. Oh.
So we went for a run. And it was also a lot of fun, and there was a lot of, again, what I love about this, Rene, is because you give your heart to the community and to
Mhm.
support others. Others
Mhm.
offer you also their hearts and their
Mhm.
smile, and it's very powerful. Hello, Monse. How are you doing?
Yeah.
Monse is here with us as
Hi,
well.
Ponce. Yes, it's very nice that the whole family got involved. This is very. So, what were you raising? What's the charity this year, or what's?
This year the theme was because a lot of people after the pandemic, after
Mhm.
COVID, they have problems with lungs.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
So this year they are collecting money to you get what you give, Monse. Yes, of course.
Yes.
So this year they were collecting money to support the Polish healthcare system to buy more equipment,
Okay.
more kind of a therapies for to get the lungs better after the COVID. So to I don't know, to support the recovery
Mm-hmm.
of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice, and
Very
we've been
inspiring.
yeah, and we've been so we did a run, and then we were also invited in the evening. They have a big studio, like a TV studio that they built especially for this event,
Uh-huh.
and they run the commentary from it and everything.
Mhm.
So we were invited because last year we won also with the Polish municipal Warsaw Municipality Police. We won uh,
Oh, I
a
remember
race on the
the
boat. You remember that?
speedboat. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The speedboat. I didn't know that
So
it
they
was
invited
a
they
thing.
invited us to join them, to join them on the during this event over
Mhm.
there. So it was so funny because there was obviously the official queue of everybody kind of standing in a queue trying to get into the
Yeah.
into the studio, but the municipality police they were invited by themselves, so they took us in the middle and we
Uh-huh.
walked, kind of a cover. How do you say that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Surrounded.
Surrounded, like
Yeah.
by the guards
Uh-huh.
from the side door, like from a special backstage access and
Uh-huh.
everything, and obviously only one of my daughters joined us, but she was really impressed by the whole situation. It was
Your
so funny.
cool status increased a little bit.
Of course, she took a lot of pictures. I'm pretty sure they are posted somewhere on the kind of a school social media, whatever they are posting nowadays. I'm crazy. Yeah.
That is excellent. Yeah, I was yesterday in the United States, the social media CEOs, five of them or whatnot, were testifying in Congress, and it got very heated.
Oh.
So yes, it was. But
I,
anyhow,
I'm
yes.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Mhm,
I'm not.
mhm.
I'm on one hand, I'm a fan of social media, but on the other hand, what social media does to kids, I'm really happy that there was this kind of a
Yeah.
pressure on them. Whether this is gonna change anything immediately, I'm not sure yet,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
I know things are getting better and better. From the uh, from the social media for kids perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it speaks to a leadership crisis in our society, like a lot of leadership crisis. But technology brings many good things, and it also
Oh
has
yeah.
brought a level of pressure and expectations for kids, and the kids don't have the maturity to understand some of the context and what to do and what not to do. So it's very challenging, and of course, there's different people saying, parents have a responsibility too, and I completely agree, but the companies should also be held responsible. And we've had this happen with fast food chains, right? Now, fast food chains not posting or publishing kind of caloric content and fat content. And then you had a crisis in terms of body weight and nutrition. And again, impacting our most vulnerable populations, which are children, amongst others. But, so yes, definitely leadership needed in every aspect of our lives, which is why I'm so happy that you and I do this every week or almost every week. By the
Yeah,
way,
and look, we have a question from Kyle. And
mm,
Kyle, sorry, we are answering with a little bit of a delay because for whatever reason, when we speak on LinkedIn, we talk
mhm.
and then you hear us like 10 seconds with a 10 seconds delay, and then we see your message, and then we obviously try to catch up on this. So, how do you do such a good job bridging the social gap between Europe and America?
Mhm.
You know what, Kyle? I think I'm not sure if I'm doing such a great job. I think we are doing such a great job because I see it as a collaboration thing. I've always, of course, I've been in this international world working in the international company for a very long time, and I was exposed to a lot of cultures. But it's the American team. That was always very understanding of my European. I mean, you hear Renee joking all the time about the vacation.
Yeah.
She never gives up to point out that I have more vacation than she does. So, but there are other things that are much better in the US than they are in Poland. I tell you, one of the things that is somehow disappointing for me is Microsoft keeps on talking about the Copilot.
Mm.
I cannot get Copilot in Poland. You know,
Uh-huh.
if I would register my account in Germany, I can get it, but not. So there's a lot of benefit. What I'm trying to say is there are a lot of benefits for the US team, and they always kept me up to date. I had a fantastic team in the US. I had a great collaboration always with Renee. So
Mhm.
it's a give and take. I think.
Yeah. 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 I
Thanks for
think
the question, Kyle.
we learn from each other, right? And we, again, we talk about diversity a lot. Today, we'll talk a little bit about diversity again, because that's what actually allows us to bridge the gap is a desire to understand. I remember when and Magic and I talk about this often, usually in private, because we really don't want to offend anyone, and but you never know, right? and but we talk a lot about the Black community in the U.S. And when we had George Floyd's murder, and some of the other Black History Month, some of these other holidays that really focus a lot on diversity from that standpoint, from a color standpoint. And Magic and I had a lot of discussions around that, because Poland is very white, right? And the
Not really
issues,
wide, but it's extremely homogeneous, generally
homogeneous.
speaking.
Yes, that's the right
It's
word.
not even more than that because there are different shades of white as well, I
Yes,
would
that's
say,
true.
Renee.
That's true.
But even from the different shades of white,
Yes.
I think
Hmm.
Poland is very Polish.
Yes, yes, yes. That was the word, homogeneous, because it lacks, yeah, religious and cultural diversity from that perspective, which is why I always appreciate that you ask the question, you know? And so, yeah, Kyle, great question going into
Yeah, it was.
starting us
I
off. I love
appreciate it.
that.
I cannot take all the credit for it, but definitely, it's important to try to learn about other people
Mhm,
and try to understand their point of view. We spoke
mhm,
about this several times with Renee, opening
mhm,
up, listening to others. And
mhm.
again, I will keep on stressing that I wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
And probably people that worked with me from the very early days, they can tell you that I was a pretty big, like I wasn't as rounded up and open for feedback as I am today,
Mhm.
and I still have to learn. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So today, the law of intuition, Renee.
Mhm.
Uh, I have a slide and I have a definition, or maybe not a definition, but some kind of a little bit of an overview. But I thought that maybe we should first talk about the law of intuition, what
Mhm.
it does, and why is it important to use the law of intuition by the leaders.
Yeah, I will tell you that intuition is tricky, because some people, I have a saying, I love positive affirmations. You see some behind me, right? Stop wishing, start doing, and don't wait until tomorrow to be extraordinary today. And I
Okay.
have things like that all over my house and the shop. And one of the ones that I have in the shop says, follow your heart, but take your brain with you,
Oh yes.
right? And
Ah.
that is a lot about intuition, right? There's certain things around not just passion, but intuition. Sometimes you really connect with someone, you feel they'll be a really good friend or a really good coworker or a collaborator. Sometimes you want to event, you want to go into a job venture or work for a given company and or take a given role, and you feel it's going to you intuitively feel that it's right for you. But you have to be careful because sometimes, and Simon Sinek talks about this a lot. Sometimes our brains don't catch up with our logical, the emotional part of our brain don't catch up with the logical part of our brain. So while intuition is very important to listen to, don't abandon reason, right? And that's my big lesson in the law of intuition. And there's certain recommendations that Maxwell and other leaders make around the law of intuition. I would love to hear from the audience what they think about the law of intuition. But Magic, what do you think? Because you and I are similar in this. We're very passionate. We kind of are very connected to our convictions and our guts. And I think we have a good sense of direction when we do that. So what do you find around the law of intuition that's important for you?
I think, for those of you who are listening to our kind of a conversation, I always try to bring the practical, my learnings from the past. When I started, my first jobs,
Mm-hmm.
I came from the university. I had, a package of knowledge that I brought with me, but I had very little experience
Mm-hmm.
myself. So I was trying to use data and a little bit like, maybe not data. No, I started by not using data. I started by trying to use my knowledge from the school, which very quickly has proven to be not enough, because many times you get some theoretical knowledge when it's, when you try to use it and do it in practice, it kind of doesn't work really, doesn't necessarily work. So then everybody started to teach me, hey, stop using just your gut feel, just start using the data. Like the business setting was always, use the
Mm-hmm.
data to make
Mm-hmm.
decisions. You need to be
Yeah.
focused, you need to use the real data, make analysis, analyze the situation, and then take a decision based on the data. And I agree with that. But I think at certain point in time, when you go up the ladder and you kind of progress your career, you won't get as much data and as much detailed data as you need to make decisions. I mean, you can always wait for the data to come, but that's many times too late to make the decision.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm kind of going a little bit full circle in a way, because I started by using a lot of intuition, and I was told, hey, use more data, be more grounded, experience, etc., etc. And then I think at certain point in time, you need to kind of release the data point and start using your gut feel and your experience and certain patterns that you have learned. Okay, so you need to kind of go back to trusting your gut and what you know, this time not from the school theoretical knowledge, but from the thousands of discussions and many errors that you've made, and thousands of successes, hopefully more successes than errors, because that typically this ratio of success to failure will determine how far you go in the yeah in your career. So I think that's what I'm thinking, and I'm thinking people start with a lot of like great energy and trying to show and move fast, and then they are slowed down because they need to use the data. And I think we need to bring them back as they
Mm-hmm.
grow in the business uh, to start using intuition again. And the higher you go in the company, the less precise and
Right.
complete data you will have for decisions. So you'll have to use your gut, I don't know, experience, Renee,
Yeah. Well,
embrace uncertainty, I guess.
and experiences, right? You said the word diverse experiences. One of the
Oh
things
yeah.
that I've seen as a good practice in a lot of companies is they rotate their executive talent or their up and coming talent, they rotate them into different roles. And they put them in different geographies, they put them in business unit jobs or finance roles or marketing roles or sales and operations, all with the intention to make sure that these individuals actually step into those roles and firsthand experience what it's like to be in those different functions. Because you
Hmm.
said, right, you can learn it on the book knowledge, but when you actually do the role, it's completely different. And sometimes things don't happen the way they should. Um, I was thinking about my daughter is driving, learning how to drive, and she'll get her license officially in 2 weeks. So you know, let's hope and pray. Yes. But she, in her youth, tells me, "Mama, taking the test was easy." Right, because in the US they have to take a written test with all the rules of, the traffic lights and the colors on the road and of the lines and so forth. She said it's very different when you take the test. I thought I was ready, and then you have to like get behind the wheel and drive, right? Um,
Yes.
and so my husband drives with her every day and get to back in school and getting to know the areas. So she's getting better at it. But this applies in all areas of our lives, right? That the more experiences you have, you can study in the book, but don't abandon your intuition. Don't abandon the practice of practicing, because those two things are going to deliver very different results. And so you need to kind of get a balance.
I using this analogy, Renee, I think it's a great analogy with a car because I agree. First, you learn the theoretical knowledge, then you need to
Mhm,
apply it in practice, right? And then you can only become. So if you would be driving just from home to school and back for the 10
mhm,
years,
mhm.
you would learn this particular stretch by heart, but
Uh-huh,
going somewhere else,
mhm.
it's not gonna be easy. So I
Right.
think the different experiences when you start going, in the country, in the city, different sizes of the cities, then
Mhm.
you maybe go to another country driving.
Yeah.
Okay, it's yet another experience. I remember first time I went driving in the UK, which is on the wrong side of the road. I know they say on the right side, but I
Yeah.
mean, our UK friends, we in the continental Europe, we drive on the right side of the
And in the
road, which is
US.
the right
Yeah.
side of the road. You drive on the left, on the wrong side of the road, right side and wrong side. Okay.
I'm with you. I'm with you on this one.
So going to UK and renting a car and driving with the stick shift, stick shift,
Yeah.
shift stick,
Mhm. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Stick shift.
shift, with a stick shift in the other hand and sitting on the other side of a car and then trying to, I mean, the rules are the same. It's not the
Right.
different rules. And then
Right.
you go to the US where, I'm sorry, but most of the road signs are basically letters, right? You
Yeah.
write something like turn right.
Yeah.
It's in Europe we have
Impulse.
we just
Mhm.
have the pictures, you don't need to, you just have a glance and you see what's going on. In the US, you have to read what exactly is written on the sign. But to your point, getting those different experiences, I'm pretty sure you will agree with the fact that made me an excellent driver.
So let's just say that you've never gotten us into a crash, but I'm always alert when you're driving, because whew, it's a little scary to be a passenger in Magic's car. But he's always kept me safe, so I can't judge too much. It's
So,
interesting. Have you ever driven in India? Because India, I thought it was fascinating. Well, in Bangalore specifically, not all of India, I don't know. But there's like no lines on the road. But
not
and
only
no
in India,
lines.
by the way,
Yeah.
it's going to be in many of the countries. Like you go to Egypt, you try to
Uh-huh.
drive in Egypt, Thailand, India. It's way more chaotic than it is. But I assure you, Rene, that um, driving in Poland 30 years ago was way more chaotic than it is right now. It was also because the infrastructure was not that great,
Mhm.
and people
Yeah,
were. Uh, Monster says, if you can drive in India, you can drive anywhere in the world.
I
I
agree.
think you're right. I never did actually drive the car in India. So maybe next time I'm gonna go to India, I'm gonna ask one of my friends to so I
Oh
can
no.
give it a try, and I wonder whether I can I can pass Monster's test
Oh my God. Oh my God.
for driving in India. Thank you, Monster. This is cool comment. This is a really cool comment.
Yeah.
So law of intuition, I think, is going to be about trusting your gut, different experiences for sure.
Mhm.
So not only the more experience, but more types of
Types.
experiences,
Mhm. Mhm.
right, Renette? To your point,
Yeah.
uncertainty. I mean, this is an important element. Like I had many employees that were kind of making sure that what they deliver is perfect, and I always say, no,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be perfect. It's you have to have this little bit of something's always going to happen, and you just need to be 80% right, so 80% ready, and that's good enough to move forward and then adjust on the way. I think uh, it's an important element. Yes.
Another one of my Reneeisms is, and again, the quote is not mine, but I love it, is perfection is
Renee.
Reneeisms. Yeah. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Right.
Mm,
And because otherwise you don't move forward, you don't experiment, you don't fail. I work with a lot of engineers, and engineers are very, they want to remove every possible failure point and it has to be perfect. But it doesn't, right? If you wait for it to be perfect, you never get it out there. And the other thing that I find interesting, and I find this a lot at the tea shop. Again, talking about different experiences, right? Sometimes I put something on the retail floor, expecting the customers to interact with it in a certain way, or I'll do a tea blend expecting it to for customers to be attracted to it for a certain reason. And when the customer interacts with the product, I see them doing things that I never expected them to do with the product, right? Which is sometimes it's interesting, right? And it's like, oh, I think that's a different type of innovation, right? I never expected the person to interface with the display or with the product in a certain way. So again, they're going with their intuition potentially, and because they have a different perspective, it's different than what I would have ever imagined. Yeah.
yes, and I don't know. I think we are ready to reveal our slides. So let me
Yeah.
just try to do
Let's
that.
reveal the slide.
Reveal
By the
the
way, I
slide.
do think that driving in India would require a lot of intuition magic, right? And anticipation of where people are going to go. So let me know how it goes. Ooh, I love the slide. Look at all those
Ah,
colors. This time, team, I didn't see the slide ahead of time. I was having technical difficulties this morning, so we spent a lot of time working through my technical
so
issues.
it's like I think two discussions ago we were talking about trust. So
Yeah.
as you can see, the trust is working here.
Yes, it works well. Yes.
So summarizing for you, and again, we're gonna wait for any recommendations or comments or disagreement. Effective leaders, they do possess this intuition, but this is intuition comes from experience, insight, and understanding of the environment.
Hmm.
Okay, it will help to navigate the complex situation because the law of intuition, basically, when you have the intuition, the experience, uh, you will make decisions faster, even if you don't have this all the information available to you.
Hmm.
It will help you to also understand, anticipate some of the changes that might come, beyond whatever analysis that have been done to support. And those skills, the intuition, can be developed.
Yeah.
It's not like if you were born with it. like with every law that we are, Renee and I are talking about, this is possible. It's possible to develop intuition by, kind of increasing the number of experiences, by, embracing uncertainty, and making sure that that you really sometimes trust your gut.
Yeah.
Again, the ratio of wins has to be higher than the challenges, and your boss should be a great boss to support you if you're not always successful, and help you to dig yourself out from any trouble. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting because a lot of times you'll your intuition will speak to you before before your logical brain engages, right? This happens a lot with people when you interact with people, and you can kind of know right away if that person is going to be a good employee or not a good employee, and sometimes you can't put your finger on it, right? Sometimes you're like, I don't know, why is it that I don't feel comfortable around this person? But always listen to that little voice. Sometimes, I remember one time I had a person walk into the tea shop, and we live in it's a tiny house, and we live at the edge of town, so or we have the shop at the edge of town, and this man walks in, and like the hairs on the back of my neck were like, right? And yeah, it was like that fight or flight instinct immediately. I'm like, oh my gosh. Right. And I was alone. Usually Lewis is here or someone else is here. But those are some of the extremes where your intuition knows ahead of your brain, right? Danger or some other signal. But always listen to that. At the end of the day, we are biological and sentient beings, and so our intuition is always on.
I'm pretty sure, I think I many times think about all the technologies that we have
Mhm.
invented as human beings, and if you would kind of take whatever we can do today and go like maybe 100, 300, 400 years back, they would be
Mhm.
completely shocked of. They always knew it's possible because you see those kind of a painting from the Middle Ages of,
Uh-huh.
um, Leonardo da Vinci inventing this kind of a helicopter type of a machine. But now it is possible. So
Mhm.
maybe I don't know, 100 years from now, they will discover what really tricks kind of a ticks
Yeah.
in our brain that senses this, and maybe somebody already discovered that, but I just don't know about it. But you're right, we need to trust the gut and the intuition.
The sixth sense. Anybody
Yeah.
else? Any questions, comments? Remember, we have a little bit of a delay. Any feedback? Feel free to chime in.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. So thank you so much, Renee. Thank you, Kenya, Alan, Monza,
Hi.
Kyle, for
Mhm.
joining us today in the call, and we are looking forward to speak to you next week again.
Yes. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.